Welcome to Real Leaders with Roshini, the podcast with real talk, real questions, real insight, and we hope, real inspiration. For real. My guest today here in downtown Minneapolis at Capitol Grill is restaurateur, major food icon, triple bottom line restaurateur, and professional instigator Kim Bartmann, CEO of the Bartmann Group. Kim, thank you for leaving one of your 9 restaurants and coming to Capitol Grill to talk and to be my guest. We have a lot to get into. It's a hot time in the food industry.
It really is. There's a lot of positive change happening, and of course, due to the Food Network and the last decade of farm-to-table movement, et cetera, there's just an unending stream of interest in restaurants and agriculture and farmers and food production, and it's an exciting time.
Your restaurant, Red Stag, in Minneapolis, was the first LEED certified restaurant in Minnesota. Back in that time in the day, LEED certification was like a foreign thing to a lot of people. Now it's this hot topic. Why did you do that then?
It was unheard of. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. At the time, and as I still am, I'm just sort of a voracious eater of information from all different areas, science, literature, philosophy, whatever. I'm interested in it. And so I was well aware of LEED and the U.S. GBC Council's work in, taking the idea of sustainability to the practice of either remodeling buildings or building buildings. And so, I had begun transforming my restaurants to using local farmers for almost all of our proteins, et cetera. And I had this new project on the horizon, and I thought, what am I going to do here, to kind of keep pushing forward into the sustainability space? So doing the LEED certification was an expression of just exploring other avenues of sustainable business practice.
It is a more expensive way, though, Kim, right, to do business?
It was quite a bit more expensive at the time. This is my simple analogy for people. At the time, in 2007, we had to drive to some supplier in the outer ring suburbs to get a tube of low VOC caulk, which is no volatile organic chemicals, i.e. not smelly, not harmful to your lungs, et cetera. Now, if you go to Home Depot, you can't buy anything but low VOC caulk.
That's amazing.
Huge transformation in our world in the last, 11 years.
Who knew I'd be talking about caulk with the illustrious Kim Bartmann today? All right, Kim, if you had to pick one of your 9 restaurants, like you could only have one.
That's hard.
And let me list off some of these restaurants. Gigi's Cafe, Bread and Pickle, Barbette. I love nightcaps and dessert there. Red Stag, Tiny Diner, Pat's Tap, the new book club, The Bird. If you could only, I know it's kind of a Sophie's choice. Which restaurant would you choose?
Well, what are we doing again?
If you had to pick only one,
to just hang out in,
let's just say you sold all the others. You were like, I'm only gonna have one. I'm gonna spend part of my year in Tahiti and the other half with just one restaurant. Let's put it in those terms.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go with Tiny Diner on that one.
And why?
Well, because sometimes I call it my happy face restaurant.
Yeah, why?
If I have to spend a ton of time there, the patio is surrounded by beautiful gardens, and I really like to be outside. So if I have to be stuck in only one restaurant, I'm probably going to pick Tiny Diner.
All right.
I like the food.
Yeah, well, that's helpful. If I had to pick one for me that you would keep and sell the others, it'd be a toss-up between Barbette and Red Stag. And it's really, for Red Stag, I love the food, but I love your bartenders there. Great bartenders. They know how to make a martini. They know how to give me a twist of lime. I ask for a twist. Many restaurants give me a wedge.
That's a tragedy.
That is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Okay, which brings me to my next very serious question. If you had to be a cocktail, what cocktail would you be, Kim Bartmann?
If I had to be a cocktail, well, everybody loves a martini once in a while.
Gin or vodka?
Gin all the way.
Okay.
So much more interesting. I mean, let's face it. The point of vodka is to be flavorless. That's not me.
That is not you. I will say I love gin, but I am a vodka gal.
Yeah.
I am.
It goes down easy?
It goes down really easy.
Yeah.
But I'll,
To me, see, it's
I'll ponder.
everything is a culinary experience, or if it's not, then you wasted one and you only have so many left in your life. So
wow, that's profound. Everything is a culinary experience, really, if you think about it. So many of life's events are around food.
Food connects us.
Nation's Restaurant News named you their top CEO for 2019. Congratulations. That is amazing. And wow, so many honors you don't even know all the ones that are adding.
I'm not sure I knew that, Roshini.
All right, so let's talk about these culinary experiences. What makes a really good experience for people? And if they can't come into a restaurant of yours or someone else's, what is your advice at home?
Well, that's a really interesting question right now, as we talked about in the beginning, because the restaurant landscape is really changing. For me and my generation, I think what makes a great experience is, the food, the atmosphere, the lighting, the music, the whole way it feels, and the service. And, I think of service as the hospitality, which is really the quality of interaction that you have with the people who are working in that restaurant. Now, for a different generation, that experience is about talking to your friends, still the food, still the experience, but you don't want to talk to anyone that works there.
No service. Service doesn't matter?
No service at all.
Interesting.
Service feels awkward. It feels uncomfortable. I want to just order my food on a kiosk or my phone and then have it magically appear.
Yeah, I can't relate to that because I just love eating out. And then when I'm home, I'm blessed with a husband who's a great cook.
That's wonderful.
He plates things. I can't just pick at things in the pan. He's like, wait, I've got to plate it. It's just...
I do that at home as well.
Well, I'm glad you talked about service because often I will give a restaurant props and come back if service was excellent or great, even if I wasn't crazy about my meal, but not the other way around. It could be great food, and if service is bad or they just did something and they were not customer focused, I don't want to go back.
I agree.
And you know that, and do you teach and really make sure your employees live that?
We try. I mean, I, like Danny Meyer, believe that the way to that happening is for the employees to be happy. I mean, in my industry, it used to be the customer comes first, keep the customer happy. And, I don't think you can sort of wag your finger at someone and tell them to smile. They've got to feel like they're smiling already. So, we try to do things that keep employees happy to be at work. And then, yes, training and talking about what is good hospitality, what is good service, and the different kinds of service that we have in different restaurant concepts is just an ongoing thing, because restaurants are a place of entropy. And
good word.
When you work somewhere for a long time, which is what we want on the one hand, you start to almost forget that you're at work, and then you don't have that awareness that you should when you're in that role.
It is a tough industry you're in, though, because people are constantly changing. People have different needs. They have emotions. And that's not only just the customers, it's your employees. And then you're expecting those employees to give your customers that great culinary experience. How do you stay successful? Now, 9 restaurants and growing. You've got some other things coming up. How do you stay successful in this very challenging industry?
Well, I don't know that we are,
I'd say you are.
We struggle. I'm currently looking for investment, but that's a different subject. I think, to my point earlier, we focus on Restaurant 101. Are people having a good experience? Are we doing a good job of, keeping the entropy at bay in terms of, are we fixing things? Are we keeping things really clean? Is it a safe environment for the people that work there, et cetera? And 101, service, atmosphere, food. Serve good food.
Yeah, no, it's really important. What makes Kim Bartmann tick?
Good food.
Good food. I know. I love that your favorite question is, who's hungry?
Yeah.
Because, I'm hungry now. I'm thinking about lunch at Capitol Grill,
I'm
actually.
in Capitol Grill here thinking, am I going to have a steak for dinner tonight?
I love it. What is your advice to young people who might want to get into the food industry, the culinary industry, and even, organic farming is blowing up. All parts of your industry, from farm to table, are exploding right now.
Yeah. I think my advice to those people, and I know so many of them who are doing it now, is to explore the vast array of opportunities that we have in our culinary landscape. It's not just go to the CIA and then you'll be a chef and then you'll be on a Food Network, because that's like almost impossible. There are a lot more apprentice-based learning programs out there so that you can get into the restaurant and be working. So you can decide, is this really for me? Because it's very hard work. And while it can be very rewarding, it's also very hard. And there are a lot of things to learn about it if you want to become a professional in our industry. Sadly, even ADD people like me need to learn how to read a spreadsheet eventually, or you can only go so far, like so many professions in our world. So it's not a fantasy land like being in a rock band or something, but if you know any successful rock and roll stars, I think you'll find that they've got businesses to run too. So
yes,
that's usually my message to young people, that you've got to go for the passion and do something you love, but at the same time, you do have to, learn what do professionals do in that area.
If Kim Bartmann were not eating or opening a restaurant or running a restaurant, and you could just take a day and do anything you wanted to do, what would you do?
Oh, sadly, it sounds so restrictive, but I'd probably get in an airplane, fly somewhere, and check out some restaurants.
All right. Well, you could have more than a day to do that.
Yeah.
I love it. And speaking of that, is there a country in the world that you would recommend as tops on the list for foodies, for people who want to learn more about food?
Well, I always say if I disappear, you'll find me either in far northern Italy, near the border, or in Japan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Two very amazing sounding places.
Yeah. The food is amazing. The people are amazing. And, northern Italy smells like pine trees, and Japan has amazing pickles.
On that note, I'm going to say thank you, Kim Bartmann. It has been so much fun chatting with you. And thanks for being with us on Real Leaders with Roshini.
Thank you, Roshini.
Until next time, keep it real.